Dennis Dunn says Capital One is the #1 subprime lender. How do you think they bought Discover? If you think about it, it makes sense because Discover is usually the first card people get, right? Yeah. Or we tell people, get the secured Discover card as your first card if you don't have credit or whatever, right? So I could see where that makes a lot of sense, but we all know also the other side of it is Capital One probably wants to improve because their customer service is just terrible and non-existent. And even their algorithms, you go into a bank, you don't get an answer. You got to go online and call in front of them.
And there's no banks.
It's ridiculous. There's no service. There's nothing there. So I don't understand how people could go with that.
Because here's the hierarchy, right? At the bottom, customer service. Number 2, customer retention. And at the very top, customer acquisition.
Right, for sure.
That's the model that Capital One uses because they advertise their cards as, we don't charge you any late fees. We don't charge you any over fees. We don't charge you any foreign transaction fees. And that's how they rope people in. Oh, I can get this card, and if I make a mistake, they won't charge me. Be 1 second late with their payment. And this is me sitting at the honest table. I have destroyed my credit, and I've used Capital One as my main weapon. So I've destroyed my credit on numerous occasions. And I did so with Capital One cards because while they don't charge you fees, they have an incestuous relationship with credit reporting agencies. They will report you the instant you are late. There is no, you see these guys, if you just write this letter, fill in, paste here, that don't work with Capital One. They will tell you, nope. And that sits on your credit. So when they bucket people, which is very ingenious, you pull them in, keep them low, let them charge up to their utilization, give them very small or no credit limit increases in order to mitigate the utilization and trap them for life. Now they can't get your new products. You're hitting their credit with inquiries, and you make a lifelong customer because you sell them a boat and keep poking holes in it as they sail, and then sell them the bucket to get the water out.
Right, hold on, man.
Yo, man, you're like freaking wow. Yo, that just became like Aristotle, Socrates.
I gotta talk about the flip side of that, though, right? I gotta talk about the flip side of it. Now, this is just in general. Subprime lenders are also needed, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't have people that mess up and then we just block them out forever.
True story.
Right? So you have people that have messed up on their credit, and Capital One was that way back in. Me per se, right? Mm-hmm. I was Capital One my way back in, and then also think about this: when we talk about predatory lenders, they're all predatory. Right? There's not one of these lenders that's like, oh man, we really care about these customers. All they care about is money. But on the flip side of that, what do you think is more predatory? A lender that looks at your credit and say, oh, this person's working on it, they got a 670, which is labeled as good credit, which could get you American Express, Bank of America, Chase, whoever else, right? And then they say, you're working on your credit. Here's $500. Here's $1,000. Here's $2,000. Whereas that person, some of these other banks are like, okay, we see you a little bit irresponsible. You're a little bit responsible. Here's $7,000. Like, if you look at it, who seems like the more predatory lender? You know what I'm saying? So,
damn Amex.
I got to concede to that point. I would love to argue, but you actually made a really good point.
No. You make sense.
There's a place for all of these lenders, and it's up to us to educate ourselves and people like Anthony and Jackie and Joe and Dale and Chad to kind of help people along that need that education. Because man, these businesses is exactly what I just said they were. They're businesses, and a business is in the business of making money. You know what I mean? Like, they're all in the business of making money. So we just have to figure out the way to surf through all of this and pick them as we go along. So
Think about what
I had to throw that out. I had to come out there behind Aristotle. the credit card Aristotle. It's hard to come behind Chad. He comes with such an eloquent conversation, and I'm like, man, do I really want to go next? But
it's hard to follow.
we appreciate it. We appreciate it, Sledge. We appreciate it. Definitely.
For sure. You know, I always got to be the other side of the coin, man.
Think about what Sledge just said. I want to venture off to Mr. Venture himself and ask him what made him open up his Capital One card.
Well, much like a lot of people, and I'm actually with Sledge on this, I actually do agree. Like most people who heard their credit or have never had credit before, like me, I got denied for everybody. And Capital One ended up being like one of the first banks to ever give me a shot, give me my first card. So like I'm eternally grateful for Capital One because I had no other options otherwise. I didn't even know about Discover back then, really. I didn't know about any of the banks. But like the fact that I could just put down a deposit and get like a 99% chance of an approval, I was like, that's everything. I can attribute Capital One to every card that I have now. Let's go. But I will say I put it all together because I wanted to see what it would look like. And I'm with you, Sledge. I've climbed the ladder before. I got every silver. I got every.
What the heck is that, bro?
You like that? Look at that.
That in itself is a good thumbnail. That's funny.
Yeah, that listen, you have to climb the ladder. I went from platinum secured. It eventually got upgraded to a platinum unsecured. Got a Quicksilver. Product changed that platinum secured to another Quicksilver. Got a Venture. Got the Venture X. Well, Venture X and Saver are both. One is Kate's and one is an authorized user from Cali. But hey, man, I'm with Capital One. I like them, and I'm using their miles for a lot of good stuff going forward, I think.
So is it safe to say that they're great for people that just starting out or don't have the credit history, but not so great if you're trying to apply and you're already set with a history and a hell of a lot of cards?
That's not true for Venture X, though. There's a lot of people that
I'm talking about in general. I'm talking in general.
Right. But you know what, Joe? Those cards aren't for those people. If you think about it. Well, maybe the Saver.
Yeah.
But like the Quicksilver and
I want the Saver, bro. Chad got the Saver. Chad, which version of the Saver did you get when you opened it? Was it the one for good credit or the one for excellent credit? Did you get the
it was the one for good credit. I didn't even get a sign-up bonus for it.
That's what I remember. You
alternatives to the gold card.
So why did you get that? Okay, can you explain that? Because it gives people that can pay it off in time. It maybe not be terrible. Why? Tell them why you did it.